I have an exciting new story for you, so let's get into it. You're never really ready to hear someone you love look you in the eyes and say, "I just need some space to figure myself out." You would like to believe in them, think they are only going through a phase, and then realize to your dismay that they have chosen someone else. That is what it was like for me and my girlfriend, Natasha. What happened next was completely unexpected. I am Martin, and I met Natasha during my university days. I eventually believed she was the girl I was meant for. We had been together for about 4 years, and I gave it all I had. Maybe this hefty emotional weight is why what unfolded after that hit me super hard. Before Natasha, I'd been through a series of whirlwind relationships that did not exactly end well. Lack of chemistry, of work. The operator did not try enough or too much. Honesty on intentions. I started to feel love wasn't for me after all, but Natasha was like a breath of fresh air after being starved of oxygen for too long in my life. I was crazy about her. I mean, really mad about her. I had loved her with every ounce of strength in me, and so even when my work had become out of control, I had always done what I could to make time for her. I wanted to make sure that she knew she was seen, valued, and uplifted. At some point, it just felt normal for her to come live with me, and I honestly thought we were building a long-term future. But when you're inside a relationship, it can be easy to miss those hints. One close friend warned me, saying, "Martin, you seem to love her more than she loves you. Just be cautious." I laughed away his concern, knowing he simply didn't know her like I did. I thought her coolness was something I would be able to handle better than anyone else. I'd been dating Natasha for almost 4 years, and I fancied that I knew her well. But I wasn't ready for what happened after we went to see her folks. I had a big plan and wanted to propose on that visit. I even had a ring, but I would have asked her parents for their blessing first. The visit itself was fine. Her parents were as kind, polite, and welcoming as I had expected, and I noticed nothing untoward. I left feeling hopeful, as in, this is a green light. But after Natasha and I get back, she becomes different, almost at once. She was becoming distant, less loving, and more attached to her phone, not giving a shit about our convos and making them feel like a chore. I wrote it off at first as her being a normal, moody teenager and blaming outside circumstances, but it was clear this was not just a phase. Days passed that became another and another of quiet dinners, short responses, and an emotional coldness that made me feel like I was fucking sitting next to a stranger. This weekend, I thought I'd broach the disturbing vibe between us. "Tell me, what's happening? You've seemed off lately." She just gaped at me, rolling her eyes, and then silence. That was disturbing. It was like she was trying to tell me I was imagining my feelings and what I saw. I was getting gaslit, knowing she was acting differently but refusing to admit it. Not wanting to turn it into an argument, my response was, "Fine." But inside, I was uncomfortable with what was going on. The next day, and still struggling in my own discomfort, Natasha told me that she was going to her parents' place and she would be gone for a while. At first, I thought she just needed some time apart, but when she told me she wanted no contact while she was gone, the glaring red flag felt like a warning sign for a convoy of dump trucks. I prodded her. "Why no reach out? If you're just trying to sort things out, why can't we connect?" She made eye contact and said, "I think it's about me. I feel lost right now. Please respect that." That night, I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to hold someone hostage who wasn't sure they wanted to be in my life, so I just said, "Fine," and let her have it her way. The first week was agonizing. I was running every interaction back through my mind. Did I miss something? Was I too aggressive? Did I not listen enough? Did I overdo it? I started to question myself. Was she wrestling with an issue at home, or a feeling of burnout, or mental health stuff? I respected that because I loved her, and I felt in time she would come back when she was ready, and we would work through this together. But one night, walking through my door after work, I succumbed to my typical post-work unwind. by scrolling through Instagram. That's when I saw one of her mother's posts, a set of vacation pictures. The caption read something like, "Clearly, a much-needed escape with my favorite people, 2 hearts, family first, blessed." I scrolled through at first, just kind of casually thinking maybe they were on retreat. But as I scrolled through Natasha frolicking on the beach, holding a drink and the arms of a man, I knew all too well, her ex-boyfriend from high school. My heart sank. His arm was around her and her hand was on his chest. They looked like a vacationing couple. There was a catch. Natasha had no clue that I was following her mother on social media. On her mom's birthday months back, I had made up my mind to follow her after Natasha tagged her in a post. As I looked at the photo, I couldn't help but wonder how things had gotten to be so drastically different. Only a week ago, I was wrestling with self-accusation, certain I had broken something precious. And here she was on a beach, tangled up with a man she once thought she'd outgrown. When we had previously had conversations in the past about her still talking to him, she dismissed it and said he was the one texting her, and when I asked her if she still had feelings for him, she reassured me and told me she didn't. I chose to trust her. But now that the picture of that photograph was seared into my brain, I found out. I don't know when my anger toward the photo crept in. It must have been a product of the overwhelming sense of betrayal I felt, at the manipulation of trust, at the fact that her parents could be in the know about me being her boyfriend and still be able to play along with her parading her ex around, and I sat at home racking my brains at what I had done for her to lose interest in me. This was no mere break. It was a fraud in a convenient excuse. I realized then that she had left me. She had just not been able to be honest about it. That night, sleep eluded me. I could not sleep trying to figure things out in my head. Was I truly that easy to let go of? Was our 4-year relationship so worthless she could just switch it off? But when I awoke in the morning, I made up my mind to do something about it. I wasn't content to be passive, patient, waiting for answers. I wouldn't have reached out because I had done nothing wrong. Nothing makes anyone look backtrack double-take on what it is they are looking for than desperately seeking closure, which does not exist. Instead, I got up, went into the living room, and started packing up her things. Everything. Her shoes, hair stuff, her favorite mug, even the little notes we used to leave for each other on the fridge, all of it went into boxes. It wasn't out of spite, but necessity. If she could disappear, smiling in another man's arms, then I could also opt to vanish from her life. I printed a shipping label to her parents' address, paid extra for tracking, and checked the box that required a signature upon delivery. I wanted the message I wasn't going to say aloud to reach her physically. We're done. I taped the last box shut, sealed it nice and tight, and gave it to the delivery person, and something changed in me. It hurt, but it also felt like I was taking a piece of myself back from her after growing to consider it her possession. 2 days later, my phone rang. It was her. As I anticipated, no apology, but after I spoke to her from far away, she was super pissed. She questioned why I had sent her stuff, saying it was embarrassing. If I wanted her gone, I should have said so. I let her rant, did not cut her off, just heard. When she was done, I said, "Okay, enjoy your life," and I hung up. That was the point of no return. That was the precise moment that the end breaks through. After the split, I opted for silence. I didn't open up to anyone. I guess I just needed my time to think things over. I did not have the energy to narrate a betrayal I was still struggling to comprehend. Then there was the idea of reliving it, answering numerous questions, or receiving the pity of people I looked at every day would have been like pouring salt on an open wound. So I dove into silence, burying myself in work and routine, anything to avoid thinking about her. Still, a journey to healing is not linear. I felt fine some mornings, as if I was on the path to returning to normal. On other days, I would wake with a knot in my stomach for no clear reason, Either way, I stuck to my guns. I didn't attempt to follow up or look at her social media. I did not want to be lured into wishing for closure or for one last conversation, and I knew where that road went. I had no desire to go back. Almost 2 months later, I got a short message from her. "I miss you." I looked at it for some time, my eyes clouding with its familiarity, but I didn't answer it. I left it unread. The ensuing silence seems to have unnerved her as she sent several further messages. "Why did you break up? Please, just say something." Still, I remained silent. That peace was finally starting to solidify, and I wasn't going to allow her to pull me back into doubt by using a bunch of fancy words. When she came to meet, I refused point blank. When she asked whether I could at least answer her calls, I told her straight up, go be with her guy. That snapped something in her. She knew that I knew the truth. That confession turned the spigot on. She started bombarding me with voice notes, saying that her parents had forced her to go, that they preferred him because he is part of their social circle, that they had always wanted her to go back to him. She claimed it wasn't her decision, that she only did it because of all the pressure being put on her, and that she never really loved him. I listened silently so she could get it all out, then asked her a simple question. "So, it took you 2 months to realize you don't want him?" Silence followed on her end. I insisted she keep her distance from me, that I was done with her, the lies, and the drama. I drew a line that should have probably been drawn a long time ago. Her last voice note was choked with sobs as she pleaded for my forgiveness, but I was done. I erased her texts, blocked the number, and sat in the silence that ensued. When the emotional dust had cleared, I was left to my thoughts. I won't deceive you. It hurt. Being dumped without real closure, seeing someone I loved exchanging our history together for comfort with an ex, these moments rattle parts of oneself. And along this bumpy ride, I have had plenty of time to think, and I have learned a few things. The first thing I would say is, if somebody is asking for space, then you give it to them. But you don't just stand still. I want to respect when she asks for space, but I also turn that period into detective hour. If a person leaves you, don't just sit there and wait for their return. You are allowed to live, to grow, and most of all, to heal. Second, never ignore the subtle signs, especially from those who love you. That friend who once warned me about the disparity of love in my relationship wasn't passing judgment. He was trying to save me. Sometimes people can see what we are too blind to because we are crouched behind the curtains of feeling. They may not always be right, but you'd be wise not to completely discredit what they have to say. Third, loyalty should not be a one-way street. I had put a lot into our relationship, had tended a garden between us, which turned out to be mine to tend alone. It is a lonely place to find oneself, especially if you only realize it all too late. Love and effort should be reciprocal. If it seems off balance, it probably is. Fourth, closure is a gift that you can only give yourself. She never even gave me an explanation, didn't sit me down and explain, wouldn't even say she was sorry. For a while, that was a hole left unfilled. But one truth became clear to me. You don't need their words to move on. You need to be the one making the choice. I made my choice, and that gave me peace and good closure. Finally, going away does not mean defeat or being weak. It means strength. You hear a lot about fighting for love, but sometimes, perhaps, the real courage is knowing when to stop fighting, when to declare, "This isn't what I deserve." Blocking her wasn't so much my getting revenge, it was me protecting myself, my future mind and heart. It was the most empowering decision I've made in forever. I am never going about it again. I'd meant it when I said I was over her. I'm still recovering. And we all know recovery isn't linear or scheduled, but I've learned that some days will be better than others. Maybe that will have to be enough, for now.